Going for two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top end. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on? It is week one. Finally, guys, we have made it. We are here. We got real football tomorrow. Of course, we are always here. This is episode 275 of the Armchair Fantasy Show, when we are here every Wednesday night on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Also on every podcast network. And of course, we're going to have for iOS and Android. I'm here as always with my co-host, Mr. Ryan Searfoss. What's up, Ryan?
Yeah, it's week one. John's here. Let's go.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah, our next guest needs no introduction. He's a regular on our show. He's here all the time, one of the fan favorites, Mr. John Laub of the footballdiehards.com and co-host on the Rookie Big Board. You can find him on Twitter at GridironSkull91. What's up, John?
Hey, I know it's real big boy football tomorrow, but I have been watching for a week and a half college football. But it is now the men who are there. Well, I can't even say they're for pay, because there's a lot of college football players making a lot more money than I do in NIL agreements. But we have men playing football now.
Dude, the FSU game gave me a heart attack this weekend.
As
As a fan, I was very stressed out Sunday night.
Yeah, that was
it's good, man. I thought FSU played the best I've seen in like 2.5 years. Like, they played good football.
It's the best post Jimbo.
Yes.
All right, maybe don't know you. Give us a quick rundown what you do here in the fantasy space, and just anything else you want to talk about.
Sure, you mentioned the football diehards, and I do a lot of different stuff for the website and the magazines, but it's football season. So I did for them 24 years. I did weekly player rankings, I think, maybe 23. I forget exactly. But this is I switched 6 years ago to DFS. I have the scholar sheet of weekly knowledge. It gives you values, best buys, players to avoid, and lineup building strategies. So I do that every week for the footballdiehards.com. And then I'm active with Matt Hicks on the Rookie Big Board doing our college fantasy football show every week. And I do my college waiver wire on Fantrax, but that's written. Everything else, so you can see me in those 3 spots during the season.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, we're going to jump right into it.
News and notes from around the league.
News and notes, as always, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. It's single game, single week best ball leagues are here. Damn, I got the wrong read here, so we're just going to wing it. So, yeah, it was
week one start out without training. It's like no training camp, Jeff.
Yeah, we're like working the kinks out here. So yes, if you use our promo code on Underdog, I'm sure you've heard it on multiple places. It's like the biggest best ball platform out there right now. Our promo code is GF2. You get a deposit match up to $100 for first-time depositors, and they're going to have single game best balls. They're going to have Sunday only best balls. It's going to be a lot of fun. I did a lot of the season-long best balls over the summer. This will be the first time I've done best ball for single games starting tomorrow. So that's a pretty interesting little concept there where you draft your team. So definitely check it out, guys. Use our promo code GF2 and get your deposit match up to $100. All right, so we have real news to talk about. I was going to put some of the injury stuff in here, but all the stuff that's been guys being held out and, hamstring this, hamstring that, we would be here all night talking about injuries. So we'll keep it to a couple of the things that I wanted to touch on here. First one here is Christian Watson says he's going to play week 1 versus the Vikings. And my question to you, John, is what is going on with this receiving core? I mean, you got Christian Watson, rookie, Romeo Doubs, rookie, the Lazard's going to be the receiver one there. Like, are you trusting any of this passing game offense besides Aaron Jones?
Well, I have 0 Christian Watson in any dynasty or redraft leagues. I have 0 Romeo. Maybe I have 1 dynasty share early on, like got him late. I have tons of Alan Lazard. I have him in dynasty leagues right now. He's in my DFS lineup. I just look at the wide receiver core, how it is constructed. I do not know how Aaron Rodgers does not throw the ball to Alan Lazard nearly 10 times a game. It just, I don't, yes, I think the running back, why can't I read what you just mentioned? Aaron Jones. He's going to get targeted. A.J. Dillon might get 4 or 5 targets now. There's no doubt he's going to use the running backs, but you've got to throw the football down the field to wide receivers. And if we, I still think Aaron Rodgers, for the most part, I think he's a top 12 fantasy quarterback. And if that's your premise, you've got to believe the wide receivers are going to produce something, right? There's going to be something there. I think it's Alan Lazard time. I love him. I know there's some injury concerns. I don't see how a rookie like Christian Watson, who's had injuries and he hasn't been on the field a lot, right? How is he going to get into that game this early in the season? Give me all the Alan Lazard I can. But he's even been injured, but I believe he's going to play this week looking at early reports.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan? What are you doing with this passing offense besides Aaron Jones? Is there anybody you want? Even like going to the tight ends, Robert Tonyan, anybody you want in your lineup?
I have some Tonyan late as that like touchdown upside guy. He had 11 2 years ago. That's there. The Lazard thing, the news is heating up. He's the only person not practicing today.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm a little worried about him. If he's out, it's gonna be the DFS week 1 darling of the last like 4 years, Sammy Watkins.
It is going to be Sammy Watkins.
Let's be real.
No!
He's the only other veteran.
That's a good point. It's week 1, Sammy.
He's healthy.
He's healthy for once.
So if he's healthy on the field.
Yeah, he's always healthy week 1. He puts up those 50-point games week 1 and then does nothing the rest of the year. That's a good point, Ryan. I forgot he was even there, to tell you the truth. That's a good point. All right, let's go to Leonard Fournette here, Tampa Bay Bucks. They're talking about potentially lightening his snap share this season, John. If you're a Leonard Fournette owner, are you worried about that? Because, I mean, that was basically what he got his points on last year, was just overall volume on everything.
I do think you have to be a little concerned. And when you talk about volume, I think the big difference for Leonard Fournette last year was the passing chops that he had. The number of targets the last 2 years in Tampa Bay are out of control. And he's actually been pretty good. He had one good year in Jacksonville, where I think he had over 50 receptions that year too. Yep. So now he's not a beautiful runner. He's not a route runner like Najee Harris. But if you're going to dump the ball off to a big man, you get him in a little bit of space. Leonard Fournette is effective enough, and his hands are okay. I mean, they're average. So why I'm saying all this, they did draft Rachaad White, and I was very bullish on Rachaad White at Arizona State. I had him on my college fantasy football teams last year when he had that really good combine in the 40 time. It showed me his speed and his athleticism. I liked the tape. Now, I do think there's some questions running between the tackles, but as a pass catcher in space, and he's actually a good route runner. Yep. I would argue I had him tied for route running chops next with James Cook in this year's draft class. So that has got to concern you, because if Leonard Fournette doesn't get the 50 catches and maybe 300 yards receiving, if you chop that in half, that's a major problem in PPR scoring formats.
Definitely. And Ryan, I want to go to you on Leonard Fournette. Not only is it the snap share that we're worried about, but that offensive line has had some injuries and some exits from free agency. What are your thoughts on Leonard Fournette this year?
I think he's going to be getting overdrafted, but I think I've said this every time we've talked about Leonard Fournette. With him getting up in age, they want him healthy for that playoff run. So especially early on in fantasy, he's going to be not getting that much carries. He also, with their division, it's not like they're going to be having to pound the ball with him.
Yeah.
No, like they could keep him fresh for the playoffs, and that kills him in fantasy.
Yep.
If he starts out really slow, I might trade for him for maybe a playoff run if it gets down to it and they're shooting for that 1 seed. But I'm not feeling great about it. And like John said, Rachaad White is an unbelievable pass catcher, and that takes away from something Fournette was really good at.
Yep.
And that really adds speed to that offense. And the offense has a ton of weapons now, especially with what they added receivers, Julio and Russell Gage, who we forgot about, and Chris Godwin's healthy now. There's so many weapons. It's going to be hard to get some. Only thing I think could save Fournette is red zone opportunities.
Yeah.
But chasing touchdowns is never safe.
Agreed. So we're going to stick with the pass catching running back theme here. And Coach Belichick said that he kind of caught his eye with Ramondre Stevenson's sort of route running ability in practice. Is he getting that James White role, you think, John? I mean, there's been rumors about it. Is he going to get that James White role and be valuable in fantasy this year?
Jeff, I want to tell you yes, but here's the problem. Bill Belichick has been a fantasy nightmare for the 20 years he's been in New England. I mean, he is just more problems for my fantasy teams, my lineups. I mean, guessing who he's going to use. Now, once in a while, A.J. Dillon, we knew what he was for those who are old enough. What clock-killing A.J. Dillon with the Patriots. We had that great season, ironically, with was it Johnson?
No, he played in Cincinnati.
No, oh my God, why can't I remember it? Played in Tampa Bay. Garrett Blunt. He had that great season, and James White has been a real good PPR back at times. But if you're banking anything on Bill Belichick, so having said that, Ramondre Stevenson, I've got a lot of shares because I was getting them at a decent value.
Mm-hmm.
Look, injuries happen all the time. When we saw Ramondre Stevenson, I won a fantasy matchup. My best friend, I played for 20 years with him. I literally had an injury at running back, went online at like 11:20 on a Sunday morning. Ramondre Stevenson was starting, and that was like a 22-point game that week. And my friend's like, I hate you. I'm like, I need a running back. I took Ramondre. So we've seen Stevenson be good. He had some challenges, went to JUCO, got suspended at Oklahoma, but he had his moments in college. I think there's opportunity there. I can't guarantee it, but I love him as a fourth back on my fantasy teams.
Yeah, definitely. I'm getting some feedback. Sounds like someone's TV is on or something. Is that on your side, Ryan?
Hold on. I'll shut the second door.
Okay. So let me just stick with that topic there with Ramondre Stevenson. If you have
need two sets of shut doors in my house. She's just jamming back there.
So Ryan, I'll go to you now on Ramondre Stevenson. What are you doing here with Stevenson? Are you comfortable starting him this week if you have him?
I'm not fully comfortable starting him this week. It's kind of a wait and see a little bit approach with him. But like before 2 weeks ago, he wasn't viewed as a pass catching back at all. He was viewed as their short yardage back, their between the tackles, the red blunt, because he's enormous and he runs really well behind his pads with power. Adding the fact that he's a 3-down back with pass catching is very, very intriguing. And yes, Belichick's been a nightmare with running backs, but how even you mentioned Dillon earlier, if he was a true 3-down back and good, we've always seen this hodgepodge of guys who just filled in roles before. If Stevenson can do both, Belichick's not above adapting.
Yeah, I'm with you. And Gator's saying, John, you got to pick up the energy a little bit. A little tongue in cheek there. All right, Ryan, this next one, I'm going to go to you first because I know you've been kind of talking about this guy all off season. The Athletics, Jeff Zebrick comes out and says that Isaiah Likely is the closest thing to an answer that the Ravens have as a third receiving option. So Mark Andrews, Bateman, and then Likely. Is that the case, you think?
I'm kind of on board with that. If you look at the 2019 Lamar MVP season, they ran that offense with 2 and 3 wide receiver sets with Andrews and Hayden Hurst. Likely is going to come in that role, but he's much more athletic and field stretcher than Hurst was. And you got really two slot receivers with Duvernay and Prochet he's working against. It makes sense with him on the outside and moved all around because of his athleticism, because he's more of that outside tight end, the like big body wide. He's more of a like jumbo wide receiver than tight end.
Yeah, that's a good one. John, what are your thoughts
Yeah,
on
I'm on board with it. And they sat him out the last preseason game.
Yeah, that's definitely big. What's your thoughts on Likely, John?
I just popped open my preseason profile. I had him number 5 amongst my tight ends. He's 6'4", 241. He played at Coastal Carolina, which is a group of 5 program. So in general, the group of 5 programs, you're not going to get a tight end on the field immediately. It's hard enough to get a Power 5 tight end on the field. However, he's been so good in training camp and preseason. I saw both those games, and they peppered him with targets. Isaiah Likely sitting out that game, 3rd preseason game, as a rookie tight end from a group of 5 school. And what I like about him, he's a tweener. That's how if you ask me, he's not an inline blocking tight end, but he definitely can't play outside as a receiver, right? So he's a tweener. But why is that interesting? You have Mark Andrews, who's the classic alpha male tight end. Well, you can line up Isaiah Likely and Andrews on the same side of the field at the same time, put one of them in motion. This is a problem for safeties. He's so athletic and he's a good route runner. He really now the Ravens have 2 tight ends who can attack the middle of the field, deep down the field. They can attack the safeties, each of them 20 yards down the field. So how are you going to deal with that? I think he's very interesting. I have him on 2 dynasty teams. I'm not going to start him right away. I want to see what happens when they have the full offense in there. But Isaiah Likely is showing us that the Ravens knew what they were doing, and he can play at the NFL level.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, he's looked really good in preseason. I mean, he dominated, was it week 2 that he had that huge game, Ryan?
Huge, 4 or 5 catches. Yeah. He was peppered all over the place.
Yep, I love him.
If you listen to, like, not just the coaches, but his teammates talk about him, like Lamar raves about him. Mark Andrews raves about him. Everybody, the DBs are struggling with him. He was giving the business to Kyle Hamilton in camp. Like, he's that dude for them right now. They love that. The whole team loves him.
Good stuff. All right, let's do one last note here. ESPN's Dan Graziano writes that he wouldn't be surprised if Colts running back Nyheim Hines sets career high in catches this season. Are you buying it, Ryan?
I want to. I love the idea of Nyheim Hines. But, like, with 40 or 50 catches in his career, how many more is he really going to get? Is he going to hit that 60, 70 mark with Jonathan Taylor in there? And are they going to move him around that much? I'd like to believe it, but it's still play defense, run the ball offense with Jonathan Taylor. I just don't know how we're going to get that consistent volume with him. I'm not all in.
What about you, John? Are you buying this career high thing for Nyheim Hines?
I try not to be the Debbie Downer, but I don't believe one word out of it. Not at all. Come on, they didn't make the playoffs last year. They've got to make the playoffs for Frank Ryan this year. I'm not the brightest bulb in the circuit, but I can look at the roster and I can say to myself, there's one way I'm getting to the playoffs, and that's writing Jonathan Taylor. I mean, you can talk about Matt Ryan. I love Michael Pittman. You can talk about that line, but let's real talk football. You know how that coach is going to get into playoffs? If Jonathan Taylor takes him there. Yep. I just don't other than a blowout, or like they're getting, they're down by 17 in the 4th quarter, and you're just like, all right, we're going to chuck it. I just don't see how Nyheim Hines in close contests, competitive games, how are you taking Jonathan Taylor off the field?
Yeah, not only that, I mean, Taylor had last year, what did he have? He had like over 50 catches last year.
He's a good pass catcher.
Yeah, he's a good pass catcher. 40 receptions, 51 targets, had 2 touchdowns, 360 yards. So, I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at there. And if Nyheim Hines is going to cut into that means Taylor's not going to be on the field. I'm not buying it. All right, let's get to our prop bets.
Going for Two Live and PlayPickup.com present the Pickup Props of the Week.
All right, so we run these pickup prop bets in our Discord. If you haven't joined the Discord yet, just go to goingfor2.com. In the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see a little Discord logo. Click on that, and you can join up. But we do 5 prop bets in there that we can get voted on, and we'll go through those tonight and give the results. But first, let me ask these guys the questions first. And, John, I'll go to you on this first one here. Over-under for Joe Burrow, touchdowns 2.5 versus the Steelers in week 1. What are you going with Joe Burrow here against the Steelers defense, which is pretty good?
I definitely want to go for the over, but if I'm betting money on it, I'm going the under. We have not seen Joe Burrow on the field this entire time. I do think this is a lower scoring game than you think. The Bengals have a good defense, very underrated. They can attack the quarterback. The Steelers, you just mentioned it, Jeff, they have a good defense. You have Joe Mixon, who's healthy early in the season. You have a quarterback who's coming out. Didn't he have his appendix removed?
Yeah.
I think you would be coaching malfeasance to have Joe Burrow throw the ball over 30 times a game, unless it gets out of control really fast. But you know what I'm telling my defensive guys, and I'm telling Joe Mixon? Gentlemen, you're winning this one for Joe. Because Mixon, you're getting the ball 25 times. And boys on the defense, you cannot let Trubisky put points on the board. I think he throws under 2.5. You win it for Joe. Man, if he gets hit too much, that's not going to be good. I just don't see the number of throws being there for him.
Agreed. What about you, Ryan? What are you over under on this one?
Yeah, John. So in 20 games, including playoffs last year, he only hit three touchdowns 6 times. So that's incredibly low. Obviously, the Steelers' defense is primed at rushing the passer. Their offensive line is questionable. And like John said, he's still a little bit beat up. And they struggle against the run up the middle, especially with being weak at the linebacker position. It reads to a Joe Mixon game for me.
I like Joe Mixon in DFS. Ooh.
Yeah, I like Joe Mixon.
Talk about he's a fade in DF. Or no, he's what do you call it when you take the other guy that no one's talking about? Pivot.
Leverage.
He's a pivot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a great option this week. Low ownership, I think.
All right, Ryan. So you're going under as well?
I saw the comments about 2 of those times were against the Steelers. One he hit 3 touchdowns once and 1 the other against Pittsburgh.
Gotcha. Good stuff. Yeah, the Discord agrees at a 66% clip. They are also going under the 2.5 for some of the reasons y'all mentioned already. Good defense. Burrow only did it 6 times last year, so going under. Next one here. This is a good one here. I like this one. This one was a lot closer. Over under 89.5 yards for Kyle Pitts receiving yards versus the Saints in week 1. And I'll go to you first this time, Ryan.
Yikes! I was really having John go first because I have no idea on this one. I wouldn't bet this bet. I'm gonna say it's gonna go under. As much as I love Kyle Pitts, the strength in New Orleans is their secondary. I know they lost Marcus Williams at safety position, but they're still pretty good there with Marcus Maine, Tyrann Mathieu. Like they have veterans at that position, but Saints are gonna play good defense and. Hopefully, and they're probably going to try to keep Atlanta from throwing the ball a ton. So I think we're going to go the under on that.
All right. And I went ahead and just open up the comments over here because we're getting so many rolling in here that I can't keep up. So we'll just put them on screen. So keep commenting, gentlemen, over there so we can get some comments on screen. John, what are you doing here? Over, under 89.5 yards for Kyle Pitts in week 1.
I have tons of Kyle Pitts. I want to go over. But I look at this offense. You have Marcus Mariota, which is a big red flag. We haven't seen Drake London, right, since the opening preseason game. Didn't he get hurt like early in that first quarter? Who else do you like on that wide receiver core? If I'm the Saints, they're a lot smarter than me. There's one guy I've got to shut down, and that's Kyle Pitts. I mean, I bump him with the linebacker. I put a safety over him. I shadow him. I just got to go the under, even though I hate saying it. But for fantasy, he might score. So I could see like 62 yards, touchdown, 5 receptions. So I love it but 89.5 until we see some receivers making plays. I got to look at the under here.
Yeah, I'm with y'all as well. Under for me, I think 8.5 is a little bit too steep for me on a tight end week one with the situation with Marcus Mariota, the quarterback, and yeah,
I'm not comfortable with that amount on any tight end. To be honest,
that is a lot.
I'm even like even with Kelsey, I'm like, that's a lot of yards.
It is. Yep, 100% agree. So yeah, Discord agrees. They are also going under, but it's pretty close though. 53 to 47 percentage. 53 going under the 89.5. So a lot closer. This next one here is just an easy point total one. Over under 52.5 points in the Bills and Rams game. And I'll go to you first, John. This is like a DFS kind of game we want to pick right here with that high score total. Are you going over on this one?
I do think it's going to be over. In general, the offenses come to play a little bit earlier in the season. The weather's better. The defense might not have figured themselves out. Their rotations, their coverages, linebacker blitzes. In general, you have healthy offensive lines. I'm going to go the over here. I don't love it, but I do see if one of these quarterbacks get hot early, it's going to blow the over out of the water because it's going to force the game up. I'm going to go over here.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan? Where are you going with this one?
I'm actually going to go different this time. I'm going to go the under just for the simple reason that Stafford's not fully healthy. There's been these rumors circulating around that he's a little bit nicked up. And both teams have very elite defenses. As much as we talk about their offenses, both teams have elite defenses. And I think it's going to be close to this. But if Stafford was fully healthy, I'd think differently. But I don't like it.
Yeah, I think the Discord here agrees with John. But I think they just want to see a lot of points scored.
I want it.
Yeah,
I want it to be the over.
Exactly. They're just picking a side over here, what they want. They're not actually putting money on it, so it's a lot easier. If you're putting money on it,
I'm not betting this over under at all.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, so they went 63 to 35 over on this one. So, all right, we got two more. These last two here are just matchups. Basically, two guys that are playing each other in the same game. First one here is Carson Wentz versus Trevor Lawrence. More passing yards in week one, John. Which one are you going here? Wentz or Lawrence? More passing yards.
So, this is a great question. I don't even know what the prize picks yardage is. So I'm going off what I believe game script. I think it's going to be Trevor Lawrence. I think they're going to have to throw more. I actually believe in Peterson as a coach more than right now that I believe in Ron Rivera in Washington. Wentz, he's such a conundrum because I think he might have been like top 15 in fantasy last year. He wasn't as bad as people make him out to be, but I'm worried about that Washington team in general. So I'm going to go Lawrence here. I think Peterson has some tricks up his sleeve, so I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. What about you, Ryan? You want Carson Wentz, Trevor Lawrence?
Trevor Lawrence. I know that they have a decent defense for the Commanders, but they also just lost their best pass rusher too, which opens something up. And like we said, we have a real coaching staff now. Peterson has worked wonders with quarterbacks. He's made Wentz look like an MVP at one point. He won the Super Bowl with Foles. He knows how to run it. That offense in the preseason looked good with guys wide open and creating separation. They have weapons. I like it. I like what they're doing in Jacksonville, and I think it's going to be great for Lawrence.
Yeah, and the Discord agrees here in a pretty large amount. 78% are on the Trevor Lawrence side of things with more receiving yards, or more passing yards. So they agree here. This last one is probably the closest one we've ever done on this show here, and this is which rookie will have more yards in week one against each other here. We got Chris Olave on the Saints side of things and Drake London on the other side of things. John, which guy are you taking here more receiving yards, assuming London is fully healthy?
I don't even think it's about London. I think it's about Michael Thomas. I was just watching Adam Schefter, and they're hopeful, but we still don't have 100% confirmation on Michael Thomas. And I'll tell you this, 13 redraft leagues, I don't have one share of Michael Thomas. I got 7 shares of Chris Olave. He was cheap. I think he's ready for the NFL. He's got Jameis Winston, who's also, but it looks like Winston's going to play now. And we haven't seen Drake London. I don't know how healthy he is, and he's still a rookie. So at least Olave's been on the field. He's been running routes. I feel more comfortable with him. I'm going Olave here.
All right. What about you, Ryan? What side are you on?
I can't believe I'm going against you 2 in a row on this. I'm taking London. The depth chart had Olave at the wide receiver 4, which is crazy. So if Thomas goes, it's different. But, man, London's healthy. And like we talked about Kyle Pitts being double-teamed and covered really well, London can get peppered. I'm just going off of the chance of him getting more targets because of less weapons, and then playing from behind. I feel like he could just be garbage time gold.
All right. It's a good one. And this one, like I said, I mentioned it was the closest we've ever had. It's literally 50-50 down the middle. So they are definitely split on this one. I think I'm on John's side to sort of tie break us here. I think I like Olave, one of the best route runners coming out of college this year. I think that he can create separation, and Winston's not the most accurate guy, but he can get the ball to you if you're wide open. And I think that definitely plays a part here for Olave to get tons of yardage. All right. We have a new sponsor. No House Advantage is changing the game by offering the most dynamic fantasy sport platform available today. Play in pick'em style contests versus other people for a shot to win $150K or more. Download the app and use our promo code GF2 and get a deposit match up to $25. Choose a contest, select player props, earn points for correct picks, and climb the leaderboard a chance to win big money. You can also test your skills versus the house and win 20 times your entry if you hit on all your picks. Bet up to 5 player props, over-unders, and individual matchups across all major sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, PGA, MMA, and NASCAR. Again, our promo code is GF2. Use it at nohouseadvantage.com or get the app in the App Store. Get your first deposit match up to $25. And make sure to check out No House Advantage today and experience daily fantasy sports redefined, because it's not how you play, it's where you play.
And now it's Fact or Cap.
All right, Fact or Cap. Ryan's made fun of me a few times for this segment because Fact or Cap is kind of a TikTok trend that I kind of stole, and I'm 45 years old.
I didn't know where that was from. Thank you. I was like, what is this about?
Yeah, so fact or true, Cap being false, and we'll go, we'll forth there. So, John, I'll give you this first. Fact or Cap, Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson will split the workload close to 50-50 in week 1.
That is a fact, and I think Darrell Henderson is going to get more touches than Cam Akers week 1.
Wow.
So I like Henderson a ton.
Ryan's making that face because he loves Cam Akers. Just real quick, Ryan, what do you think about that one there? I didn't pick this one because I figured you'd go Cam Akers, but I wanted to see.
I'm not answering this one. We'll let John answer. I don't want to talk about it. Right. John just took the wind out of my sails.
Ryan Adam is the captain's seat in his showdown tomorrow.
Good stuff. All right, Ryan, this one's for you. Miles Sanders will lead the backfield in touches among the running backs in week 1 for the Eagles. Fact or Cap?
Oh, God, I want to say fact because it makes the most sense. But then again, it's this Eagles team and this coaching staff. I'm going to say Cap just because there's only a 1 out of 3 chance. Like, it could literally be Boston Scott, and I wouldn't be surprised. It could be Kenneth Gainwell if the game, depending on how the game script goes. I just don't trust it. The way coach wore a T-shirt about Kenny Gainwell, like they seem to just hate Miles Sanders. I don't understand why.
Yeah, and he's a full practice today too, so he's definitely healthy now after missing some time in the offseason. But
I want none of them.
Yeah, I don't want. Yeah, I don't want to touch anyone. I was big on Miles Sanders earlier in the season because he had some, really good, per game metrics and per carry metrics. But the Eagles just seem to hate him, and he seems to not be able to stay healthy. So I am out on Miles Sanders now. All right, John, this one's for you. Fact or Cap? Ezekiel Elliott will have more fantasy points than Tony Pollard in week 1.
That is a fact. The Twitter universe, the fantasy football universe, all want to make Tony Pollard the guy. There's a simple reality. Jerry Jones and the coaching staff love Zeke Elliott. You can talk metrics. You can talk explosiveness. I understand all of that. And I've been watching Tony Pollard since he was at Memphis. I like Tony Pollard also. But at the end of the day, the coaching staff is going to feed Ezekiel Elliott. He's a pass catcher, and he's their goal line back. Barring an injury, all things equal, it's a fact Zeke Elliott will score more points. He's healthy and ready to go.
All right. Yeah, I'm with you on that as well. That's sort of a Twitter narrative that they're all wanting to buy on Pollard, and he's taking some pass catching away from Zeke, and he looks more explosive. Zeke is still Zeke, and they're paying him a ton of money. So
and they're going to run him.
They're going to run him. All right, Ryan, this next one. Treylon Burks leads all receivers for the Titans in total touches. I put touches in there because there's talk about him coming out of the backfield on some things. So we're talking about carries and receptions here. What are your thoughts on Treylon Burks leading all receivers in touches for the Titans?
Honestly, I think I might go with it. I just don't think Bobby Trees is a high-volume guy at this point in his career. The rest of the receiving core can't have it, or is hit or miss. It's going to be close, but it's not enough. It's not going to be enough touches where I'm comfortable playing it, but I think he can still lead the receiving core in touches.
Yeah, I'm definitely not playing him in any kind of fantasy league. You know, he had a pretty bad preseason. We've heard all the rumors about his health, and he's had, he hasn't looked great. But I mean, if they're going to find ways to manufacture touches for him, maybe he ends up leading that team in touches, but not a whole lot of productivity. I don't believe in that first game. So
might not be efficient touches.
Yeah, agreed. All right, John, this is your last one here. Fact or cap? Josh Jacobs leads the Raiders' backfield in touches in Week 1.
I'm going to say cap.
Ooh.
Josh McDaniels is a Bill Belichick disciple. And you look at this team, you have Zamir White, and then they bring in the ultimate monkey wrench in Brandon Bolden. And we've all seen Brandon Bolden, 3 catches and a touchdown. You're like, what? Special teams star is catching passes on the Patriots. And then they have Amir Abdullah. And I believe, my memory serves me, when Josh McDaniels was the head coach of the Broncos, he even rotated running. They had no Sean Moreno. But no Sean, and he was never a superstar. But no Sean Moreno didn't really become fantasy viable until McDaniels was out of there. I think there's too many cooks in the kitchen here. I mean, I would say it's a 35% chance that Josh Jacobs leads the team in touches, but that gives me a 65% chance that some other guy on this team. And what if, and here's also, what if the Chargers have one of those moments, they're up 14-0. I could see Josh McDaniels just going full Tom Brady. We're throwing the ball 55 times in this game. Josh, have a good day. I'll see you Week 2. I'm putting in Amir Bolden. Like, I'm going to say cap.
All right, good one. I thought for sure you'd go fact on that one. So mixing it up a little bit. All right, Ryan, this last one's for you. We kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. I didn't realize that we had that other one, or I wouldn't have added this one in there. But Nyheim Hines ends up second on the team in targets in Week 1. Fact or cap?
Cap, he's going to be 4th. Obviously, Pittman's going to get more. Jonathan Taylor's going to have more targets in the passing game than him. Alec Pierce is going to show everybody his name and have more targets than him. And you know what? Paris Campbell might mess around and beat him in targets too. And I don't even like Paris Campbell. I just
I don't like Paris.
There's a legit chance he's 3rd or 4th.
Yeah.
And I'm not comfortable saying him. I'm not comfortable starting him. We're just ahead of ourselves. We want Nyheim Hines to happen. We want him to be James White, but it takes a certain kind of coach for that to happen.
Agreed.
A certain kind of offensive quarterback.
Agreed. All right, let's get to our listener questions.
Go ahead. Ask me anything.
All right. First one we have here is from Funky Cold on Discord. John, this is for you. For Godwin, he's pretty much good to go for Week 1. Will it hurt, or how much will it hurt Evans' production?
I don't think it hurts at all. We've seen both of these players on the field simultaneously over the past 2 years. They both have specific roles. Brady uses Evans near the goal line. He uses him on the big plays. He isolates him one-on-one downfield with smaller cornerbacks. Then you have Chris Godwin. He runs the routes. He goes underneath the coverage. He does the crossing patterns. He kind of does the dirty work, right? The Deion Branch stuff. He gets hit a little bit more. I actually think it helps Evans because it makes him more difficult to double.
Yeah, good call. We do have a live question here, Ryan, that I'm going to ask you. Irv Smith Jr. or Albert O for week 1 start?
Oh, gross.
Oh, gross.
I'm thinking Irv Smith. The Albert O talk died down and got real just shaky very recently. Denver's good, but he's really down on the pecking order there. And that's good defense. It's just, I don't think he's built for this week, especially.
John, you're a Broncos fan, so I want to ask you the same question. Irv Smith or Albert O week 1?
I'm going to go Irv Smith. With Jerry Jeudy, with Cortland Sutton, with the talent in the running back, Russell Wilson could run one in. I mean, is he going to pepper Alberto? I mean, you might get like 3 catches for 28 yards and a touchdown, but I think Irv Smith has more upside. So I'm going to go Irv Smith.
You know that stat line get you tight end 1 week, though.
Yeah, it could be a
It would be. You're right. But you have to get which is what might he score? 5 this year? I mean, yeah. Has Russell Wilson ever had a tight end fantasy worthy?
Nope. I think Will Disley was the closest thing, and he had that 5-game stint that he was good and he got hurt.
Yeah, he just doesn't throw to the. Now, part of it's talent, right? But it's just not his game how he plays quarterback.
Yep, good stuff. All right, Ryan, the mild salsa king on Discord wants to know. This is a pretty straight up one here. Now, he doesn't say if it's PPR or anything. I'm just going to assume it's PPR. Would you trade Gabe Davis for Chase Edmonds?
No. Like, I'm not even a Gabe Davis person, and I wouldn't make that trade. I think Chase Edmonds saying, I don't know if we're really going to see Chase Edmonds, what he's being drafted at now. He's like, just keeps moving up and up just because of a cut. But, man, Gabe Davis has that big week potential, and I think Edmonds is really capped, like, for how much he can get. I can't see him being more than a 12, 15 touch guy. So you're kind of working for a touchdown or heavy passing game, depending on game script. And even in that, Waddle's going to be that underneath machine. So I just don't see where he really fits in a role where we're comfortable starting him as an RB2 when some cases you can start Gabe Davis in that situation as wide receiver too.
Yeah, see, for me, it's the upside and the unknown of Gabe Davis that wants me to keep him. Like we haven't seen him in the number 2 role in this offense before. This offense is really good. We've seen Chase Edmonds. He gets hurt a lot, but we've seen him at his peak, I think. Whereas Gabe Davis, I don't think we've seen his peak yet. So the unknown part of that is why I want Gabe Davis on my team.
How much better is Chase Edmonds really than Raheem Mostert or Myles Gaskins or even Sal? Like, how much better is he truly than them where he's going to get a full workload?
Yep, agreed. All right, John, this one's for you. And this one's more put in here because of the Stafford injury, which we hear he's okay now. But I just want to ask you how you feel about this. But this one is a start Matt Stafford or Trevor Lawrence in a 1 QB league week 1.
I got to go Stafford. Higher over under, Super Bowl champs, playing at home. The adrenaline might get him through this game. I know, Ryan, we haven't seen him on the field. We've heard about the elbow. But you know what? There's adrenaline. And I think when you're the defending Super Bowl champ and you get out of there in front of 70,000 fans and Aaron Donald's giving you let's go, I just think that gets you through this. So I'm going to go Stafford here.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. I think that the talk of the Stafford thing is a little bit overblown. Maybe week 2, week 3, maybe we start hearing more about this elbow. But week 1, if he's good to go, I'm playing him week 1 until I see something that tells me not to play him. All right, Ryan, this one's for you as a guy who lives in Pittsburgh that knew one of these players really well, and then a guy who's a Ravens fan knows the other one. So this is a half-point PPR. Juju Smith-Schuster or your boy Rashad Bateman?
I think it's going to be Bateman. I really, really like Juju this year. I've been saying that all year. But we still don't know what his role is going to be in KC's offense, how spread out it's really going to be, even though we might see a shootout there. But Lamar Jackson has this really good habit or bad habit of when a narrative gets pushed a lot, that he tries to prove it wrong. And one of the biggest narratives is that wide receiver position. It could be a heavy Bateman week. Like, I could see him force feeding Bateman, even though I'm really excited for the matchup with him and Sauce Gardner. But I could see heavy feeding him this week.
Good stuff. Yeah, and just I forgot to give the shout out to the people who asked those questions. Gator J, who's actually in the chat, asked the Stafford T-Law question. And Raider J32 in Discord as well asked the Juju and Bateman question. All right, John, this was coming to you from Corked Bats in the Discord. Joshua Palmer or Julio Jones rest of season in a PPR league? And he puts, I think it's Julio. But what are your thoughts?
It's one of the hardest questions I've ever come up with. When I mean, this is hard. However, when I have an aging veteran who hasn't showed us anything in 2 years, or I have youth with a young quarterback, I'm going Joshua Palmer. I got a third-year quarterback in Justin Herbert. I have an offense in the most explosive division in the AFC West. And then I have Julio Jones, who we haven't really seen productive since 2019? And he's got Chris Godwin and Mike Evans ahead of him on the depth chart. I'm going to go Joshua Palmer here.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the spoiler alert for those of you that catch my Friday show, we do we call it the sick call of the week, which is kind of our super punt play. Josh Palmer is my sick call of the week. He's, I think, 3,300 on DraftKings. I think he catches a deep touchdown in this game, so he pays it off in one play. All right, Ryan. We got some of that Dameon Pierce hype here, but this guy's on the opposite side of this thing. Mr. Clyde Edwards-Helaire sort of been poo-pooed all off season. Are you starting Clyde Edwards-Helaire or are you starting Dameon Pierce week 1 PPR?
Pierce. Like, it's not close. CH is in a complete committee there and doesn't feel like they have faith in anybody. So it might be something that's worked out as the season goes on. Pierce, they stated he's the RB1. They cut Marlon Mack for that reason. It's Pierce. And real quick, I saw the comment about Lamar playing for his reworkers contract. He legit said today it's no bigger risk playing with a new contract than it was last year. He's 100% going to play.
All right, good stuff. And that was from a name I can't pronounce, Oryazabal. I'm guessing how you pronounce that question about CEH and Pierce. All right, John. This one's from
the answer is never CEH.
The answer is never CEH.
Good stuff. All right, this one's from Pack, and this one is interesting because it's standard scoring, which changes this question a little bit. Do I start Amon-Ra St. Brown or Brandon Cooks? Standard league, John.
I'm going to take the issue based on volume. Brandon Cooks is one of the most efficient wide receivers I've ever seen in fantasy football, but he's just as likely to go 3 for 40 as he is 7 for 102 and a touchdown. I'm going Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm an Amon-Ra St. Brown guy. I still think he's the best wide receiver on that team right now. He might not get the 13 targets or the 12 like last year, but I think he's still got 9 to 11 targets in this game. I'm going Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. The standard scoring thing made it a little bit closer for me. I think it was PPR. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown, hands down.
Oh, without question.
So the standard scoring kind of made it a little bit closer, but I think I'm still with you with the Amon-Ra St. Brown side of things. All right, this one is from Pura Luau 19, I think, also on Discord here. Ryan, should I start Jalen Hurts or Kyler Murray week 1? And that's a tough question because both of them are pretty close in most rankings.
They are, but we're looking at that Kyler Murray game with one that should be a really high over-under with KC. Like, that's a shootout, and I want all players game. So I'm leaning Kyler Murray on that. Plus, I have Kyler Murray a spot or two higher, but in general, man, it's going to be a shootout.
Yeah, I think that might have the highest over-under total of the week, like 54.5 or something like that.
And that's a game I have confidence in it.
Yeah,
like,
that was going to be a lot.
No one's getting stopped.
Agreed. This next one is from Going for Two's own Brian Ford. He asks this one to John specifically. Which rookie are you most excited to see in week 1? Not from an entertainment perspective, but from a curious about performance and how he can do for his value in week 1.
This might blow people away because Dameon Pierce, I agree with Ryan 100%, and he's the hot guy. I'm not going to talk about Dameon Pierce. We talked about Chris Olave, and I like Olave, so I'm not going to pick him. I'm going to go Zamir White. I want to see what his role is. I mentioned that I'm betting against Josh Jacobs. Is Zamir White the guy? How many touches? How many snaps is he going to get? I'm fascinated. Are they going to, does he get 40% of the snap share for the Las Vegas Raiders? So he's the guy. And I can't wait to see the Chargers-Raiders game. But, I mean, I want to see what is Zamir White's role in this Raiders offense.
Yeah, good stuff. And Jamie in the chat here, he wants to see Jalen Tolbert there for the Cowboys, who should be the receiver too there. That's another good one there.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, Ryan, this one's from Chris Cross. He says, now that Ertz is iffy for the opener, he needs to know a player to drop to get a backup tight end. His options are Khalil Herbert, Eno Benjamin, and Nico Collins. This one's pretty easy for me, but let's see what you say.
Yeah, I'm dropping Eno Benjamin. Khalil Herbert, they're talking too highly of and really showing doubts for David Montgomery. Nico Collins is the wide receiver too and has a specific role where he's their red zone threat. Benjamin's just a depth piece, and I'm not putting that on my team.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. It's Eno Benjamin for me. That one stood out like a sore thumb. I know he won that backup job supposedly behind James Conner, but Khalil Herbert's got too much upside for me. And Nico Collins, I think, as well, has too much upside as a starter in that offense. All right, last one here, John. Mason Flemley. He's in the Guillotine League. He's just trying to survive week one without getting last. PPR, Pollard or Devin Singletary gets his RB2.
Oh, I'm going Devin Singletary. There's not even a question. He's their goal line back and the pass catcher. I know you got Zach Moss, but Devin Singletary's a better player. They didn't draft the running back. They didn't bring in a veteran. Until I have something, I'm going with Devin Singletary. I think he's one of the best values, or was. I'm done with drafting. He was one of the best values in fantasy leagues. He's on the Bills, high-octane offense, and you're getting them in, round 8, 9 sometimes?
Yep.
I'm going Singletary here.
Good stuff. All right, our next segment that we do every week is basically designed for John because this is his best segment. Let's go ahead and hit the drop.
Get ready for GoingFor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
So real quick, John, before you give us your Forgotten Fantasy Player, I was talking to somebody in Discord, and I was talking about our segment that we do here and how you're really good at these. And the last time you were on, I think your Forgotten Fantasy Player was Mark Duper. And they know that's how far back it was. So give us your Forgotten Fantasy Player this week.
I thought a lot about this, and I decided to go with they went to the Super Bowl. And the Bengals had about 30 years from Boomer Esiason to Joe Burrow of real awful football. But there was this little window, and I don't know if anyone under 30 remembers this player, but Carl Pickens, the wide receiver, from 1994 to 1996, let me tell you that, and this is the early 90s. So you got to understand, this was a dominated, running backs dominated fantasy football. My buddy and I used to debate who was better, Jerry Rice or Carl Pickens. That's how amazing Carl Pickens was for this 3-year run. 71 receptions, 99 receptions, and 100 yards or 100 catches. Those are his 3 most productive years. The touchdowns, 11, 17, he led the NFL, and 12. The yard, 1,127, 1,234, and 1,180. Unfortunately, the Bengals were awful. 3-13, 7-9, and 8-8. He was on the David Shula clubs. They were just really, really bad, the Bengals then. He used to catch the most beautiful passes. Jeff Blake used to throw these high arcing bombs deep down the field. And Carl Pickens and Darnay Scott came under him. Steelers, their defense was mean and nasty in this time period. Wow, Carl Pickens, he was that 3, and he's not a Hall of Famer. His career didn't last long enough. He basically goes down the shelf. He has 1 decent year after that. But those 3 years, he was fantasy football gold. He was amazing. And when you hear people talk about wide receivers in the 90s, they never bring up Carl Pickens. My friends, he never made the playoffs with the Bengals. He only made it once in the year 2000 as a member of the Titans, and he only caught 10 passes that year. Carl Pickens was awesome. for the Bengals a 3-year run.
Good stuff. And we got a bunch of young people in the chat over here that are like, did we even have fantasy football back then? But John, how long you been playing fantasy football?
1989 was my first year. So Carl Pickens was actually like my 4th, 5th, and 6th years playing fantasy football. And those Bengal teams were fun. They weren't good. They didn't make the playoffs, but they were fun on the field to watch.
That in '96, I just brought it up the stats for your talking.
Yeah.
His 100 reception year, it took 174 targets to get there. Wow.
The Jeff Blake factor. And Ryan, by 96, I bet you they're only running 2 receiver formations almost all game. And their starters are probably on the field like 90% of the time. They weren't rotating. They weren't going 4 formations. It was Pickens and Darnay Scott. Let's go, gentlemen. Like, that was it.
290 targets between the two.
Oh, my God.
Or 289. Yeah. Next closest is 63. And that was their tight end.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I mean, the game was so different, dude. Like, if he wasn't on the field, you were like, what happened to him? Like in those days, you just played every snap.
Wow. Awesome. As always, John, great pull. And also, thanks for coming on. We'll go around the room and give us your Twitter handle. If you want to plug anything real quick, we'll go to you first, John.
Oh, please go to Football Diehards if you're a DFS player like myself. I'm a cash game player. I'm not a GPP, so I should say that to everyone. I love cash games. I love building lineups. It's exciting. I love looking at the matchups. And every week on Fridays, I come up with the scholar sheet of DraftKings knowledge, and it helps you put together a lineup. It's there. This is my 6th year doing it. I love DFS. That's my NFL beat right now. And of course, I just play in leagues and I talk about it. But right now, the only publishing I do is for DFS. Just a time constraint. I used to do much more, but you get older with the family. So it's now just DFS. And that takes, you know what? When you do play DFS, you realize how much time it takes to put it together.
Yep, 100% agree. Ryan, what you got going on?
Twitter Fox 534. Find me here Wednesday nights at the Armchair Fantasy Show. And find me over at the Rookie Big Board along with John as well.
Good stuff. All right, John, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. Kick this season off in style with John as our first guest. Enjoy the weekend here, and good luck to all your fantasy teams. So for Ryan, for John, I'm Jeff. We will see y'all next week.